Hi everyone, welcome back to the audit and attestation class. In this class of reporting on attestation engagement, which is part 2, please go through the part 1 as well before jumping onto this video. And here we'll be covering reporting on control at service organization, and we also do some practice question. This is very important. Service organization, you will be tested heavily in your audit examination as well as your BEC or bar examination. Please let's dive into for more detail.
If you see, so far we have covered report on audit engagement, and on the 5.2 report on attestation, we have covered first one, general standard on attestation report and agreed upon procedure report. So now post lunch, we are planning to cover report on controls at service organization, right? So this is the major topic we will try to cover, and if time allows, we'll jump into the 5.3, which is accounting and review service engagement. In that, we have preparation engagement, compilation reports, and review reports. So if time allows, we'll try to cover like preparation engagement as well. Otherwise, we'll be shortly finishing on like report on control side, service organization. That's also an important factor. It will be important in both like in audit section, and you'll see some reflection in BEC as well for the service organization reporting. Let me take you to the reports. If some of you might have studied BEC, any of you have studied BEC so far with us? Anyone? No one have studied BEC with us so far? Kush, Jasprit, any guys? Arjun?
Yes, sir.
So you studied BEC, right?
No, sir, we didn't.
You didn't. Okay. Arjun, anyone else? No. Okay, so
Studying,
huh?
studying still not to be done.
Not okay. I thought you might be familiar with this diagram. Okay, so this is like one of my favorite diagrams for the to explain like controls at the service organization and what all are the reporting's requirement. So like I think we discussed about service organization, right? Do you have idea what is service organization?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
The service organization is when we have like outsourced the work to some particular organization. Like this is basically outsourcing of work, and they are providing their services to the organization. So that is the service organization. Provide
Yeah.
the service to the main.
Any example?
Like we got in many organizations, if you see multinationals as well, we outsource the accounting work.
Accounting work, okay.
Yes.
Payroll
Payroll
processing,
processing, right.
kind of
Yes.
thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyone else would like to add what Ayush has shared? Kush, Jasprit, Dipti, Nimisha. Any
No,
thought
sir,
on?
no, I think primarily, I think he covered it. It's like the service organization is any company that kind of specializes in a particular, let's say, process or activity that they support the other companies for. So usually a company would outsource, let's say, its payroll process to ADP because ADP specializes in that particular
Yeah.
processing piece. So that's how people do it.
Yeah, so very good. Thanks, Ayush and Kush. So principally, like you are auditing a company, and that company has outsourced some processes to any third party. That is called service organization. It may be like payroll process, it may be inventory management process, it may be account receivable, it may be account payable, or it may be fixed assets management services, right? So those kind of work you have outsourced, which is impacting your financial statement and internal controls over the financial reporting framework. So now, as an auditor, what you might be needing to gain comfort over those areas which the entity has outsourced to the third party, right? So the third party is called service organization. So you have two parties here. One is service organization, which is like ADP in case of like payroll outsourcing we discussed, right? And this is your client. So your client, let's say your client is, for example, General Motors. General Motors has outsourced the payroll processing to ADP. So service organization, let's take an example, is ADP and your client is General Motor. So they have outsourced the work. Which work they have outsourced? Payroll processing, right? So here, and you are an auditor. So you are an auditor of clients. So your name is client auditor. So let's say, for example, 𝐂𝐡𝐚𝐩 and Ayush, a CPA firm, is auditing General Motors. So the client auditor is 𝐂𝐡𝐚𝐩 and Ayush, and client is General Motor. Service organization is ADP, to whom the client has outsourced the payroll processing. And let's say Arjun and Rahul are the auditor of the service organization. So service organization auditor is who? Rahul and Arjun, a CPA firm. They are the auditor of service organization, right? Here, now you need to define the scope. So if, let's say, the client is a issuer, so in that case of scenario, you will be auditing and giving the report on integrated, both financial statement as well as on the internal control over financial statement. Yes or no? So if client is a listed client, so will you be issuing integrated report or only on financial statement?
Integrated.
Integrated report. So when you are issuing integrated report, so then you will be needing the comfort or reliance over the control as well, right? So in that case of scenario, you might be requesting the client to take which type of report? What is type 1 report, type 2 report? Hope you remember this we discussed in chapter 2. What is type 1 report? What is type 2 report? Any idea?
So type 1 report only talks about the design of internal control, and type 2 report talks about the operating effectiveness as well as the design of the internal control.
Absolutely right. So type 1 report is for the design effectiveness of control at the service organization. And type 2 report is design and operating effectiveness of control at the service organization. So there is a service organization auditor. Who are the service organization auditor? Rahul and Arjun, right? So Rahul and Arjun will conduct the audit of service organization and they will issue type 1 report or type 2 report as required by their client. So if the client is a listed company and they need to go through the integrated audit, they would be requesting type 2 report, which has design and operating effectiveness of control. And if the client is, let's say, General Motors is non-issuer, and you are not doing, like Ayush and 𝐂𝐡𝐚𝐩 are not doing integrated audit. So they are doing audit only of financial statement. So then they will be requesting only like type 1 report, which is the design effectiveness of control. So accordingly, service organization will be requesting the service organization auditor to issue the respective type report, type 1 report or type 2 report, as their customer would be needing. So type 1 report, who issue type 1 report or type 2 report? Service auditor issue to the service organization based on the audit procedure performed by the service organization auditor. So who is service organization auditor in our example? ADP, right? And who is the service organization auditor? Arjun and Rahul. So Arjun and Rahul will conduct the audit of ADP, and based on their audit, they will be issuing type 1 report and type 2 report, which is required by their customers' auditor. So in type 1 report, the Rahul and Arjun CPA firm, they will be doing audit. They will be performing walkthrough procedures. They will be doing understanding of process by reading the process narrative SOPs, and then they will be gaining comfort over the design effectiveness of control by performing the walkthroughs. So when you are issuing type 1 report, you'll be performing two things: understanding of the process and validation of the process, whether the controls are properly designed or not, right? If you need to issue type 2 report, then Rahul and Arjun need to perform test of control as well to test the operating effectiveness of control throughout the period, and accordingly they will be issuing type 2 report, right? What the service organization auditor will be doing? For type 1 report, they will be doing understanding of the process and walkthrough of the process. For type 2 report, they will be doing understanding of the process, walkthrough, and test of control. So all three procedures you will be performing to issue the type 2 report. And to whom you will be issuing the type 1 report and type 2 report? To the service organization. And then that service organization will be sharing that report to the client, right, to the General Motors. And then General Motors in turn will be giving that report to the client auditor, which is Ayush and Kush, right? Ayush and Kush will be demanding the type 1 report and type 2 report to the General Motors, and in turns General Motor would be requesting to the ADP, and ADP will be asking the service organization auditor Rahul and Arjun to perform those procedures to issue the report to their customer. And finally, the report will reach to the client auditor, which is Ayush and Kush. Make sense? Make sense? Flow of the reports and requirements.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this diagram will help you understand, like, client has outsourced the work to service organization. Service organization will need to issue the report, either type 1 and type 2, based on the requirement of the client auditor to the client, and client in turn will give this to the client auditor to gain the comfort over the design and operating effectiveness of the control at the service organization. But who will be performing the audit at service organization? It will be service organization audit. But if client auditor is not comfortable with the service organization auditor report, then he may request the service organization auditor to perform certain additional procedure for them, right? So client auditor Kush and Ayush can request Rahul and Arjun to perform certain additional procedure for them to gain more comfort over their respective entity. So why, in which scenario they will be saying so? So for example, ADP has, let's say, 1,000 clients across the United States of America, right? And General Motor is one out of those 1,000, right? And let's say for test of control, they might be testing 20 sample, 25 sample, 30 sample, right? In that sample, it will be a random test. There might be probability that General Motors sample come or may not come, right? Here, the General Motors auditor, let's say Kush and Ayush, they can request the service auditor to consider at least one sample of General Motor in their sampling, right? So in that case of scenario, service auditor will consider one sample of General Motor and rest of the sample on a random basis to cater their request. So those kind of requests are, you can say, legitimate. Make sense?
There is also a type 3 report, right? But is that part of our curriculum or not?
Type 3 report is majorly for operational controls.
Okay.
Right? For we'll come to that, but majorly we'll be working on type 1 and type 2 report for financial statement audit.
Sir, in type 2 report, we have understanding of the report and walkthroughs, as well as we have to perform the audit, right?
Service organization auditor will be performing the walkthroughs and test of control both.
Okay.
And they will be issuing the report to the service organization, and that report in turn they will issue to the client, and then client will give it to you. Right?
Got it.
Any doubt here? So far, so good. Yeah,
Good, sir.
Rahul. And two things you need to keep in mind: service organization auditor, which is Rahul and Arjun in our example, must be independent. So it should be independent audit report, whether it's type 1 or type 2. And second, they will be using SSAEs, that is attestation center. Make sense?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now come to the reporting part. What service organization auditor should be writing in their respective report, type 1 report and type 2 report. So as an auditor, so as a CPA, you can be appointed as an auditor for service organization to issue type 1 and type 2 report, or there might be possibility that you are auditing any company which has outsourced certain business processes and you need to review the type 1 report or type 2 report, right? So as a CPA, you should know what would be the content of the type 1 report and what would be the content of type 2 report. So here you'll be understanding the content of type 1 report and type 2 report, which can be come into your future use when you are an auditor for a service organization or when you are auditor of a client who is using service organization to evaluate the respective report. First thing is title. Title must include independent CPA report, independent accountant report. So independence is must, like we discussed earlier, whether you are using type 1 report or type 2 report. In both the cases, sorry. So whether you're using type 1 report or type 2 report, in both the scenario, you should be independent. Second is addressee. So addressee here would be service organization, management, those charged with governance or entity, right? Third is identification of management description of service organization system. That means what are the operating system, organization system, whether they are using SAP, they are using Oracle, they are using NetSuite, they are using certain specific payroll related you can say software or the in-house developed software, what system they are using. So you'll be mentioning that. Second is any part of the service organization system not covered by the service auditor. That means, for example, if you are auditing ADP, so in ADP they are doing payroll processing for the customer. So in the payroll processing, so what are the process? Let's imagine what are the process would be there, or what are controls would be there in a overall payroll process. First thing, they would be having a standard request from the respective client for the information, in which they have information about the employee, their salary, their date of birth, their life, and their date of joining and their period they have served, and then might be their leave policies, their gratuity policies, their you can say long-term employment benefit policy, the ESOP policy and everything, right? So there might be a standard request format for the respective clients should be there. And after that, there is a process on which date they will be requesting those information to the management, and by which date they will be receiving the information from the management, and how they are ensuring the information they have received from the management is appropriate or not, right? Then second thing is transferring or transmitting that data into their respective tool, which is an input for their software. About like salary data, about new joiner, about exit employee, about like you can say leave encashment policy and other policies. Then the leave data and number of hours work data and everything need to be put into the system. How sophisticated that transmission is. Then after, the software will be running their mathematical stuff. for calculating the individual salaries based on number of hours, based on attendance, based on their salary, based on their performance and everything, right? And then after, how they are generating the output report, which they are submitting to the client or they are submitting to the bank directly, right? So how this overall process is going on. So there might be some process which is going through the system, but there might be some process that management of the service organization is doing manual intervention. So like adjustment of new employees, adjustment, full and final settlement for the exit employees. So that might be they are doing manually. So that may be like covered into the system, or that can be out of the system as well, that manual adjustment entries. So that you need to specifically mention any part of the service organization system not covered by the service auditor. Like manual adjustment, if those are not covered into the system, you need to specifically mention. Third is any information included in document containing the service auditor report that has not covered by the service auditor. The information of the report which you are not covering need to be specifically excluded and need to be specifically mentioned in your report, right? Fourth thing is criteria, and fifth thing is any service performed by sub-service organization and whether the carve-out method or inclusive method was used in relation to them. That means, let's say ADP is doing overall payroll processing, and in turns further they have you can say services, or they have further outsourced some services. Let's say you can say punching of data services, right? They have outsourced to any third party further. So you need to carve out that this is being further outsourced by the ADP to any third party to do the punching of, let's say, or maybe like you can say TDS calculation, like withholding tax calculation for the payroll. They have been outsourced to any CPA firm further, right? So that can be possible that ADP has also further outsourced certain work. So those things you need to specifically carve out, specifically mention that within the overall process of payroll processing, withholding tax calculation has been outsourced to the respective CPA firm, and we get the data from the respective CPA firm when we are finalizing the payroll processing of the respective employees. Make sense? This third point?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt? Kashish, Rahul, Garvit?
No, sir. Clear.
So far, so good. Nimisha, Dipti, Ranjita. Third point is very clear. What you are doing as a service organization auditor, you need to be mentioned that, and what is being carved out, you need to clearly mention in your report. Next is a statement that service auditor has not evaluated complementary user entity control. So here you need to clearly mention that you have audited only and only those specific control which is being relevant to the financial reporting framework of the service organization, not the other complementary entity controls like entity level controls or operational controls and other stuff. Next is management responsibility. So in the service organization, when you're performing the audit of service organization, so service organization management responsibilities need to be clearly laid out. First is preparing the description of the service organization system and the assertion, including completeness, accuracy, and the method of presentation is being the responsibility of the management of the service organization. Second is providing the services covered by the description of the service organization system. So here, what all services they are providing to third party, they need to be clearly mentioned to the auditor of service organization. Third is specifying the control objective unless specified by the law or regulation. So for each control, what is the objective they want to achieve from those control need to be clearly mentioned unless and until it is being required by any regulatory requirement or any law compliance. Fourth is identifying the risk that threaten the achievement of the control objective. So they also need to do the risk assessment on the controls they have implemented in place to mitigate those risks relating to the service organization services which they are offering to the third party. So here they need to mention the risk of the respective, what could go wrong to the auditor of the service organization. Fifth is selecting the criteria. Criteria means which financial statement line item they are serving to. If they are like payroll processing company, so then the criteria is payroll processing. Then lastly, design, implementation and documentation of control that are suitably designed and operating effectively. That is being the responsibility of the management of the service organization. You need to clearly lay down like these are the 6 responsibility of the management of the service organization, right? 6th point is service auditor responsibility. Now, what is your responsibility as an auditor is to express an opinion. So in type 1 report, opinion on the design effectiveness of the control. And in type 2 report is opinion on the suitability of design and operating effectiveness of control. So in type 1 for the design effective, type 2 design as well as operating effective. Both you need to clearly mention in respective report. If you are using type 1 report, then design opinion on design effectiveness. And if you are giving type 2 report, then your responsibility to express opinion on the design as well as operating effectiveness of the control board. Right? Any doubts so far till point number 6?
No, sir.
Kashish,
No, sir.
Garvit,
Clear.
Rahul, all good? Okay. Seventh point. A statement that examination was conducted in accordance with SSE. If you remember, in the top we have mentioned in the note that examination, it's an examination engagement and it has to be conducted in accordance with SSAEs, right? Those standard required service auditor to plan and perform examination to obtain reasonable assurance. So in both, whether you are issuing type 1 report or type 2 report, in both the report you need to mention this statement that examination was conducted in accordance with SSAEs, and those standards require service auditor to plan and perform examination to obtain a reasonable assurance. 8th point, a statement that service auditor has not performed any procedure regarding the operating effectiveness of control and thereafter express no opinion thereon. When you are issuing type 1 report, you need to clearly mention that you have not done the testing of control, hence you are not giving any opinion on operating effectiveness of the control. Whereas in type 2 report, you need to mention a statement that the examination also include testing of operating effectiveness of those control, and your opinion is on both design as well as on operating effectiveness of control. So that is the difference between type 1 report and the type 2 report. What do you need to mention in type 1 report? That you have not done the examination of operating effectiveness of the control. Whereas in type 2 report, you need to mention that we have examined the operating effectiveness also. Make sense? Till point number 8, everything is good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so point number 9. Description involve performing procedure to obtain evidence about the fairness of the presentation of the description and suitability of the design of these control to achieve the related objective. So when you are performing type 1 report, so at that point of time, you'll be testing design effectiveness. And design of the controls should be tied to the objective which management wants to achieve or derive from the respective control. right? So here you need to mention in a description involving performing procedure to obtain evidence about fairness of the presentation of the description, and most importantly, suitability of the design of control to achieve the related objective. Whether the controls are designed effectively to achieve the objective or it is loosely designed. Right? If there is a problem in designing of the control, then you will be issuing qualification or modification in the report. If it is properly designed, then it is unmodified or unqualified report. In right hand side, if you see a description involving performing procedure to obtain evidence about fairness of presentation of the description and suitability of design and operating effectiveness both of those controls to achieve the objective. So in both the cases, you need to focus on whether those respective controls are meeting the objective for which they have been designed, or are they operating effectively throughout the period for continuously achieving the objective for which those controls have been designed, right? 10th point, a statement that the examination include assessing the risk that the system is not fairly presented and control were suitably designed to achieve the related control objective. The same statement you need to mention in type 2 report as well, that examination include assessing the risk as well. 11th point, a statement that the examination engagement of this type also include evaluating the overall presentation of management description. This statement you need to mention in type 2 report as well. What is that statement? That the examination engagement of this type also include evaluating the oral presentation of management description. So here you will be evaluating the oral management description as well, in addition to testing the design effectiveness and operating effectiveness according to type 1 and type 2 report. 12th point is a statement that service auditor believe the examination provide a reasonable basis of opinion. So here you are doing examination engagement. In examination engagement, you need to give opinion. Before reaching to the opinion, you need to test or you need to perform the examination procedure to reach to the conclusion or reach to the opinion, right? So you need to clearly mention in a statement that service auditor believe the examination procedure you have performed as provide a reasonable basis for your examination opinion. Make sense? 13th point, a statement about inherent limitation of controls. So controls have certain inherent limitation that they cannot prevent, detect, or timely correct the misstatement which are being on account of management overriding of control. So they have certain inherent limitation. Make sense? Yes? No? So far so good, up to point number 13.
Yes, sir.
So maybe like quickly take a look. So if you see title, addressee, identification of management responsibility, right? A statement of the service auditor, what they have evaluated, management responsibility, auditor responsibility, examination include SSAEs, and then they have performed the procedure to ensure the operating effectiveness of the controls or design of the control, description, statement of the examination, and then a statement of examination, engagement of the type also include evaluating the oral presentation, a statement that the service auditor believe the examination provide a reasonable basis of opinion, a statement of inherent limitation on the control. Now coming to the 14th point, which is an opinion paragraph, service auditor opinion. So this opinion paragraph is slightly different in type 1 report and type 2 report. In type 1 report, you will be giving an opinion on the design effectiveness only, right? So there you will be mentioning service organization system fairly designed and implemented as of the specified date. Second is control were suitably designed. And third, a reference if application of complementary user entity control necessary. So where you need to give any reference, then only you need to mention about the complementary entity user control. Now coming to the type 2 report, where you need to give the report or opinion on the design and operating effectiveness of control. First statement is same, system organization, systems fairly designed and implemented throughout the period. So here the difference is on the specified date. In type 1 report is for specified date, whereas type 2 report is for the throughout the period. Control was suitably designed and operating effectively. So whereas in type 1 report, you'll be mentioning control was suitably designed. In type 2 report, you'll be mentioning control was suitably designed and operated effectively, both. Third statement, the control service auditor tested, which were those necessary to provide reasonable assurance that the control were operated effectively throughout the period. Fourth is a reference if needed for the complementary user entity control wherever it is necessary. 15th point is not applicable for type 1 report when you are issuing the report on design effectiveness. But for type 2 report, it is required. A reference of the service auditor, test of control and the result thereof that include first, identification of control that were tested, determine the effect of such test on their risk assessment. Second, if deviation have been identified in the operation of control, the number and the nature of deviation noted. So this is for the testing of control. So that's the reason in type 1 report it's not applicable, but in type 2 report you need to give a reference of the test of control and the result you have achieved. So there you need to mention the identification of control that were tested, total controls you have tested, and determine the effect of such control testing on the risk assessment. And second important thing is if there is any deviation, how many deviations you have identified and the effect of those deviations, right? 16th point is a statement restricting the use of service auditor report. So here you need to restrict the report. In both the case, whether it's type 1 report or type 2 report, you need to restrict the usage of the report. And lastly, date, name, city and state you need to mention and signature on the report. So this will be the structure of the service auditor report. Any doubt, anything need more clarification on the structure of type 1 report and type 2 report? Kush, Ayush, Rahul, Kashish, Nimisha,
No,
Garvit.
sir.
Yes, sir.
So far, so good?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir.
Okay, so now you can become a service auditor. Let's test your knowledge, whether you are ready to become a service organization auditor or not. First question. A service organization is an organization which provides services to user entity which are likely to be relevant to those user entity internal control over financial reporting. Which of the following statement does not truly define service organization auditor? So what is the call of the question? Which statement do not define service organization auditor? Who is service organization auditor? Who is service organization auditor?
Sir, Rahul and the other one.
Rahul and Arjun. But what they are doing?
So basically, they are auditing
Sir,
the rules of the service organization and issuing type 1 and type 2 report, which is design plus design, and in type 2 report,
design and operating effectiveness.
yes, and further issuing this report to the client auditor so that the client auditor can use it in his audit.
Yeah, absolutely true.
And auditor is also dependent on this type of,
Hmm.
audit report.
Okay, so I think principally we all understood what is the service auditor rule. So now call of the question is, which of the following statement does not truly define service organization auditor? So which is a false statement basically. The service auditor is responsible for exercising due care in application of the procedure that support those representation. So when you are a service auditor, you need to give the due care, right? When you are performing the procedure. Yes or no? If you are a
Yes,
service
sir.
auditor, do you need to give the due care when you are performing the procedure or not? The answer
Yes,
is
Yes,
sir.
sir.
yes. Right? So this is a true statement, not a false statement. Second is the service auditor must be independent from service organization. Is independence mandatory for service auditor?
Yes, sir.
Right? So this is also a true statement. Third one is the service auditor is not responsible for the representation in the report. So that's false, right? They
So
are being
representation means
okay. So anyone would like to explain what is the representation, management representation?
it's a management representation letter, MRL,
Yeah.
that
So
we
whatever
apply.
the management has given you the representation, you are not blindly relying on that. You
Yes,
need to
yes.
perform your procedure to gain comfort to ensure what representation management is giving is right. Right.
Okay.
So third point says service auditor is not responsible, but they are responsible to test those representation.
Yes,
Hmm?
sir.
So it is a false statement. Fourth one is service auditor is a practitioner who report on the control of the service organization. Right? So service organization auditor is a practitioner. It should be a practicing CPA, right? Not an employee. Make sense? So first, second, and fourth statement is true. Which one is not true is the third statement. Everyone agree to it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so second question, which of the following should be met for accepting an attestation engagement to report on the control at service organization? What is the call of the question? What is the call of the question? Kush,
Basically, the
Gurmehar?
conditions that should be met. So basically, for accepting, so it's around acceptance of an
Yeah,
engagement.
first, second chapter, acceptance and continuance of engagement. Like these things are, so like your planning section is being interrelated with your conclusion section as well. Right. So what is the call of the question?
Basically, acceptance of attestation engagement.
So, okay. So what is the first option? The description of control is completed prior to signing the engagement letter. Management agree that service auditor will be responsible for documenting the control. The service auditor has competency and capability to perform the engagement. The suitability of the evaluation criteria is reviewed by the third party. So which one is right answer
The
and why?
third one, yeah.
No, it's bold. But first you need to give me a justification. Why
The
first?
sec
Why?
So the
so the
third one
second one,
is
right.
Yes,
I
go
was just,
ahead.
I was just going to say that the second one is incorrect because the auditor is not responsible to document the controls. It's the management's responsibility. So
Yes.
that is the incorrect statement.
Mm-hmm.
The first one, again, as an auditor, once we review and once we go and do the procedures, then only we will know. And I think it's again not our responsibility.
Say that again.
So
First
I
one.
think the first one, again, the description of the controls is completed prior to signing. Again, that is not something that we are responsible. It's management's responsibility that all of that should be done, or what is being done and what not. So once we get into that process of let's say review or attestation or any of such engagements, then we will get to see whether it is complete or not. So I don't think it impacts my planning phase.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, the last one, it's I don't think it's applicable because it says that a third party reviews the evaluation criteria. There is no such requirement that the third party needs to review the evaluation criteria. So that's why all the three are incorrect.
How about
And
others?
competence. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, competence and capability is something that we need to make sure when we are accepting any kind of engagement, especially in attestation engagement. So that's why it's the right answer.
Yeah. Anyone are you guys agree to what Kush has shared?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, yes,
why?
Yes, sir.
Immediately, yes, huh? No difference of opinion, huh? That's not fair. But anyone would like to add or share your experience?
Yes, sir.
All good? Okay, so this is about service organization. Let me see if we can finish off the next topic, or should we defer it for the next class? It looks like bigger topic.
Defer is fine.
Yeah, it looks like bigger topic. We can do some practice question from LMS. Would that be fine? Shall we do some practice in
Yes,
LMS?
sir.
Okay. Let's do some practice. Okay. So we are in audit and attestation. Conclusion. Let's do some random questions. Just now we know almost everything about audit. So what is an auditor responsibility for supplementary information such as disclosure of pension information, which is outside the basic financial statement but required by GASB? So three things you need to keep in mind. One is this is supplementary information which is not part of your main financial statement. Main financial statement is your balance sheet, your income statement, cash flow, and notes to accounts, right? So this is in addition to that, a supplementary information. Second thing you need to keep in mind, required by GASB. What is GASB?
Government Accounting Standard Board.
Auditing standard.
Auditing Standard
Auditing
Board. Yeah.
standard.
So
Audit.
two things you need to keep in mind when you are evaluating this question. Okay, go ahead. Which one is right and why? Yes, don't delay your departure. Have you understood question? Why is so silent? Have you understood question?
Yes, sir. So first one is not correct because it says that auditor has no responsibility, which is not the fact. Mm, it's a supplementary information doing a substantive test of transaction. I think it's not the correct word to say.
The third
I'm
one is
not very sure. Third or fourth, I have a doubt between third or fourth, but third one is, I see it's more relevant.
Okay, how about others?
But it should be the third one.
Why?
Sir, it should actually, the fourth part says the auditor's only responsibility for supplementary information is to determine that such information has not been omitted. So our responsibility cannot be limited to just checking whether the things have been omitted. We need to ensure the correctness of the information because it's forming part of the financial statements.
Yeah,
So
very good.
we need to at least apply certain limited procedures.
Absolutely true. Thanks, Gurmihar and Ayush. Very well explained. More important thing, the explanation both of you have given is absolutely right. Okay, next question. CPA was engaged by a group of royalty recipient to apply agreed upon procedure to the financial data supplied by modern company regarding the modern's written assertion about its compliance with the contractual requirement to pay royalty. Reports on these agreed upon procedure should contain. So which type of report is agreed upon procedure? Which standard you follow for agreed upon procedure? Which standard we follow for agreed upon procedure?
SSAE.
SSAE, right? And what is the conclusion? Is the findings, right? So now let's evaluate options. What is the call of the question? What is the call of the question?
So basically, the call of the question would be just that what should these agreed upon procedures actually contain? That report which they would be issuing for these agreed upon procedures?
No.
No.
So, reporting on the management assertions with the compliance of the contractual requirement.
Yes. So which statement is right and why? So the call of the question is Miles' report on agreed upon procedure should contain which statement out of these four? So in agreed upon procedure report, which statement you will be adding out of these four? First one is disclaimer of opinion about fair presentation of modern financial statement. Do you give any disclaimer? In agreed upon procedure report? Yes or no?
No, sir.
So I think it should be the fourth one.
Yes.
So a list of procedure performed and Miles'
Right,
finding.
and findings.
Okay, but why not second and third? Second is an opinion about effectiveness of modern internal controls activity concerning royalty payment. That has not been asked, right? Third is an acknowledgement that sufficiency of the procedure is solely Miles' responsibility. Whose responsibility is sufficiency of procedure?
Sir, an auditor's responsibility.
Is it?
Like sufficiency of procedures. Yeah.
An agreed upon procedures.
Yeah, no, not an agreed upon procedures. I was saying in general. But because agreed upon procedures, we just have to state, whether we have performed all the procedures which were assigned to us.
So who has the responsibility to ensure the appropriate procedure? Management, not the Miles.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So that's the reason fourth answer is correct. Right? Make sense? Third question of the day. Financial statements are considered special purpose financial statement when? What is special purpose financial statement? What is special purpose financial statement? Come on.
Pro forma financial statement.
Not really.
For special purpose financial statements are particularly made as per a particular objective. Like if we are if we want to get a loan or something from, and then we have to prepare a particular we have to issue or give a statement to the bank displaying certain facts. Then the statements prepared in accordance with that would be special purpose financial statements.
No, that's financial forecast.
No, financial forecast is when we are forecasting the financials, right? Like
Your answer is wrong, Ayush. Don't try to justify.
There's something I'm not very sure, but something related to 8Q where we report on special findings or something, special
No, what
considerations.
is special purpose financial statement? My question is simple. Unless until you understand like these terms, like how can you answer right? So that's the reason I am emphasizing and focusing on you on those terms which is being commonly asked in almost all the questions. If you see like more than answer, I focus on those terminology so that you can remember those terminology which is being used commonly in almost all the questions. So special purpose financial statement is one of them. What is special?
फोरकास्ट थोड़ी हुआ, मतलब वो फोरकास्टिंग नहीं हुआ जो मैंने बोला था.
नहीं हुआ, वही नहीं हुआ. Nimisha, Dipti, Arjun, Jasprit, Kush. Guys, what is special purpose financial statement? Don't tell me. You have done far and you have done like almost more than 95% of audit and you don't know what is special purpose financial statement. Yes, Mr. Gurmehar, Arjun, Jasprit.
Financial statement used for some special purposes.
I second Gurmehar.
Come on, guys! Don't behave like kids. Yes, Nimisha, Dipti, any idea what is special purpose financial statement? Special purpose financial statement are financial statement prepared in different financial reporting framework to meet the special requirement. It can be in IFRS, it can be for tax purposes, it can be for single audit purpose, or it can be for financial aid, awards, reward, that kind of purpose. It can be for group reporting purpose, right? Those all financial statement are called special purpose financial statement.
सर मेरा थॉट उल्टा, बस बैंक गलत बोल दिया मैंने.
Right, so now let's see which one is the right answer. Financial statement are considered special purpose when first one is prepared on a pro forma basis designed to demonstrate the effect of hypothetical transaction. Second, prepared in accordance with either contractual or other comprehensive basis of accounting. Third is restricted use. Fourth is prepared in accordance with conceptual basis of accounting. Second, why?
So we are not preparing the statements on some hypothetical transactions. Third is not restricted to use as, but it can be restricted to use as well. And it is not prepared on accordance with conceptual basis. The most relevant I found was because as we discussed right now, it is prepared in accordance with a particular contract or a particular basis of accounting like IFRS or something. So that's why I think second.
Yeah, Gurmehar, Kashish, Rahul, Nimisha, Dipti, any idea? Or everyone likes to go with Ayush? Come on, guys.
So I'm confused between second and third.
Second and third, restricted as use, restricted as to use. But sometime you need to select the best right answer.
It should be second because that is relevant. That actually describes what special purpose financial statements are, that is a secondary thing, I think, that it is restricted to use.
Okay. Anyone else have a different view?
सर
और
स्पेशल पर्पस है तो रिस्ट्रिक्टेड तो हो गई, बट अगर तो सेकंड का देखें तो उसमें सारे कंपोनेंट्स इंक्लूड हैं. इसमें तो सर ये तो प्राइमरी है, सेकेंडरी restricted to use, I guess.
So which one? Second or third?
सेकंड ही लगा के देखते हैं.
Yes. So cash basis, tax basis, regulatory basis, contractual basis, and any other basis, right? So like we were discussing, special purpose financial statement or other than GAAP, but having a structured framework. Cool. Next question. Which of the following statements?
Sorry, a question, but special purpose financial statements तो usually directors या specified users के लिए prepare होते हैं ना. So why did
No,
we
when
consider
we said this, we haven't said
usually तो
that is
मतलब
internal management reporting. That is MIS, which is being used for internal management purpose. That is budget, forecast, budget versus actual analysis. So those things like in MIS are for internal use, but special purpose is for third parties.
Okay.
Which of the following statements should be included in a practitioner report on the application of agreed upon procedure? So what is agreed upon procedure? What is agreed upon procedure? We just did.
Survey result, the findings, and perform specific procedures.
Specific procedure which is being defined and which you are performing, and you are communicating if there is any finding, right? So now in your agreed upon procedure report, what you will be mentioning, what you will be including out of these four statements. First is a statement of scope limitation that will qualify the practitioner opinion. Second is a statement of negative assurance based on procedure performed. Third is a statement referring standard established by AICPA. Fourth is a statement that practitioner perform an examination of prospective financial statement. Which out of these four statements you will be using in AUP report, and why? Come on, don't delay your departure. We have just two more questions. One more question after this. Yes, yes. Nimisha, Gurmehar.
So fourth one,
first तो नहीं है सर.
fourth भी नहीं होगा.
I think it should be D.
Sir, it should be second.
Okay, let's do one by one. First, are you with it or not?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Why?
Because सर हम इसमें तो अपनी findings को मतलब कोई opinion नहीं देते ना agreed upon procedure में.
Yes, we are not giving any opinion.
तो सर first तो है नहीं.
First we eliminate. Okay. Second, do we give negative assurance?
Sir, we could give positive assurance or a negative assurance, both. We just started it.
In agreed upon procedure, do we give any assurance?
Negative assurance.
Agreed upon procedure, we don't give any assurance. We just state the facts that we were
assurance to sir
misconducted. So second should not be the one.
Yeah, Nimisha, you are saying something.
Negative assurance is usually given in review engagements, right?
Yes, yes. Kashish, what you were saying?
हाँ सर यही कह रहा था मैं review engagement.
Okay. Third one, a statement referring to the standard established by AICPA. So do we mention something like that?
I guess yes.
What is that? SSAEs.
Yes.
Right. Fourth one, a statement that practitioner perform an examination of prospective financial statement. So is it agreed upon procedure or it's an examination?
Examination.
Examination.
What is the call of the question, man?
Agreed.
Agreed.
So agreed upon procedure is different than the examination engagement, right? Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So which one is right answer to the best of our understanding?
Third one.
Third one. Are you
तो
sure?
थर्ड ही होगा.
Fourth तो नहीं है?
नहीं sir.
That's absolutely right. Last question of the day. Which of the following should a practitioner include in agreed upon procedure report? Which of the following should include in the agreed upon procedure report? Positive assurance about whether the subject matter is fairly stated based on criteria. Negative assurance about whether the subject matter is fairly stated based on the criteria. All finding from application of agreed upon procedure. The statement that nothing has came to my attention that caused me to believe the subject matter is not presented based on the criteria.
तो थर्ड लग रहा है मेरे को.
Third one, yes.
Why?
सर फर्स्ट और सेकंड पॉजिटिव और
See
नेगेटिव तो
what
दोनों में
the-
होता है.
An assurance is not given in an agreed upon procedure. Sir, fourth भी वैसा ही सही है.
सर एश्योरेंस
Second
तो
and fourth both are same.
Yes, you all are right. See, you got 100%. Huh?
सर ऐसे ही बस एग्जाम्स में आ जाए बस.
What do you need to practice for it? You need to revise the notes and do the practice. It will definitely like this in your exam.